Think we're about good to go.
Yep, we are good to go. It's about 4:01, so we're going to get started because we have a full hour and a half of events for you. So everybody, welcome to Careers You Can Bank On. We appreciate you being here. Just a few housekeeping things. If you can, please keep your microphone on mute. We'd appreciate it. We have reserved time at the end for questions from the audience, and at that time, you can submit your questions via chat or by raising your hand. And then even later on, we have reserved some time for some networking, and we have breakout rooms available for you to enter. But with that, let's get started with the first portion of the event, which is the panel discussion. The event is hosted by Kobe Career Services, the Finance Management Association, and the Risk Management Association. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our host and to the president of the Financial Management Association, Brandon.
Hey guys, yeah, so thank you everybody for coming. This should be great. So yeah, like Laura said, I'm Brandon Gresser. I'm the president of the Financial Management Association here at Boise State. Basically, the goal for the Financial Management Association, just to get people experience outside the classroom, get them exposure to all different avenues in finance. That's not really something that is discussed in classes. So going out into the field and experiencing it firsthand is really the only way to figure out where you want to be after college. And that's what we do. And that is what this event's basically set up to do, is give everyone a little bit of insight into the banking community here in Idaho. So like Laura said, I'm with the Financial Management Association, and I'm going to pass this over to Dennis real quick. He's with the Risk Management Association.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon, for having me, and thanks for the introduction and letting the RMA be a partner for this event. I think this is actually our 5th year doing this event, so we're really proud to be part of it again. Like Brandon said, my name is Dennis Michaelonis, and I have the privilege to be heading up the commercial banking team here at Idaho Trust Bank. Been in banking for about 8 years now, and it doesn't feel like too long ago when I was sitting in the position of you all, as a student, junior, senior, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. A little bit about the RMA. So we're a professional trade organization was founded back in 1914 in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, actually. And the main purpose of our organization is to go ahead and help financial professionals with anything associated with risk management. And quite frankly, that goes hand in hand with banking and credit risk. So we do a lot of events here in the Boise and Treasure Valley area and throughout the state, educating commercial lenders, financial analysts, and anybody who works within the credit department of the bank on how to eliminate or at least mitigate the risk associated with lending. So that's who RMA is, that's who I am. And again, I'm just really excited to be a part of this event again for, I think, like I said, the 5th year in a row. I think it's very important for students across the country just to learn of all the other opportunities within banking. I know when I was a student, I thought there was like 3, maybe 4 positions you could go into banking. And that was a teller, maybe work your way up to a new accounts, somebody opening up checking accounts, and if you really made it big, maybe get into a branch management position. But I've thankfully been in banking for so long and been able to experience multiple roles, and can just say there's a lot of opportunity within this industry. And I just want to say thank you to everybody calling in, just first off for showing your interest within our industry. And secondly, just to give you some advice, you have 3 great panelists here today. Feel free to pick their brains and ask them any questions. We're once in your position, and now they're very successful professionals, and they're here to provide any guidance. So with that, Brandon, I'm going to let you take it over, and thanks for letting me say a couple words. For everybody on this call, I'll be available for the breakout sessions as well. So if you have any questions specifically to me, feel free to reach out. And anyway, I'll let you guys go from there. Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Dennis. So like noted, we have 3 panelists here, all from different backgrounds, all in different stages in their career. So we're going to start by introducing them. We'll have DC first. If you'd like to introduce yourself, maybe just where you work, how you got to where you are currently.
Sure. First thing I want to say, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this panel. It's always fun and exciting to talk to a lot of the college folks and what they're doing and the opportunities here. There are so many opportunities in the banking industry right now. We can't even fill them. So it's just exciting to be here and get to talk about some of those things. So I've been in the finance and banking for almost 20 years, and I've been in Idaho at Zions Bank here, the best building in downtown Boise, on the 7th floor. Always wonderful to be downtown here, so I'm fortunate to work here. I'm in the commercial real estate banking division, so it's a little different than what most folks do in banking or think about banking. I provide financing for most of the commercial projects that you see downtown. So if you look around and see these construction cranes, that's what we do. We finance the construction of those buildings, and we also finance the permanent mortgage loans on those. So prior to being here, I came over from Salt Lake City. I was over there 7 years with Zions Bank as well as with GE Capital. I spent 12 years with GE Capital in Scottsdale, Arizona, as well as Salt Lake City. And prior to that, I practiced law for 6 years. So I've got some different skill sets that I've brought to the banking industry, and that's what's one of the exciting parts about this is you can have different backgrounds and you can find a place and opportunities in the banking industry.
Thank you, DC. Super
You're welcome.
insightful. If we could just get Kayla to introduce herself too.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kayla Caban. I am a commercial banker here with Idaho Trust in downtown Boise. I have been in banking for about 12 years now. And I started out as a part-time teller with Wells Fargo, spent a majority of my career with Wells Fargo, and worked my way up to a commercial relationship manager. So I primarily do working capital analysis, C&I lending. I do some real estate, but nothing to the level that DC does. And I appreciate everything that he does because it can be quite complex. I do a lot of relationship building and mostly just work with small businesses to help build them up and help them continue to thrive. So thank you for having me, and please feel free to ask any questions that you have. I hopefully can answer them. And yeah, I just look forward to this.
Thank you again. Great to have you here. And on to Lonnie, if we can just get your introduction too.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lonnie. So I started just like Kayla as a part-time teller about 7 years ago. Most of my career is actually with Wells Fargo. But at Wells Fargo, I was a teller, transitioned to a personal banker, business advocate, then a service manager. And then I went over to Wells Fargo Wholesale Commercial Banking. And in that position, I was a relationship associate where I handle a lot of treasury management, complex deals with treasury management, and also just the day-to-day, gatekeeping for the different businesses that we had at Wells. After that, I transferred over to Northwest Bank and I became an assistant relationship manager. In that position, I do a lot of credit underwriting of C&I deals, mainly lines of credit, asset-based lending, and then also just a little bit of commercial real estate. Just like Kayla said, commercial real estate is very complex. We have a department that does that.
Perfect. Thank you. So as you guys know, panel discussion. So I'm just going to raise a question. We're going to have our panelists answer it, kind of just a guide discussion format. And then that should run for about an hour. Afterwards, that's where we'll have open questions. So the first thing we just want to know, what do you like about banking? What is it that actually makes you want to stay in the industry? If we just maybe even get like a personal story or two, some insight on that, that'd be great. And anyone can start first.
I'll go.
Yeah.
So if I can be quite candid, finance was not my career choice when I was younger. I actually am a psychology major and I have an emphasis in political science. So, but while I was in school, I was working at Wells Fargo and putting myself through school with Wells. And I think that I didn't really transition into my career with finance until I moved from personal banking side to commercial. For me, I think it was an eye opener to see the difference between being more or less kind of your stigma'd banker that sits, in the lobby and takes orders and opens a personal account for you and catch you later type of banker. What I am is I'm an advisor. And when I came over to the commercial banking side is really when that was a realization for me that there is a difference between being a banker and being a financial advisor in the banking realm. So, as far as a personal story, I think, there's quite a few moving over to commercial side and helping those business owners who felt like, man, they were just at a loss and they didn't know how they were going to go any further, and working with bankers and working with my clients to just really sit down and identify that aha moment where a client realizes, oh, this is exactly what I need to move forward, and we're able to help them. And watching that customer thrive and grow. There are just a few of those moments where that feeling and knowing that you can help a business understand their finances, I think, and actually guide them and have the foresight to see where they may go based on, how they operate, and being that guide and being that knowledge base for them. A business can't operate without cash. It can't operate without money. So if you can help them fully understand that and help be their partner more than their bank, if you're their partner. And so I think just over time, just continuously experiencing those things and being able to say, man, I helped that business open, or I financed that building that they are now in, that they are proudly displaying in a commercial. Those are the types of experiences that make me really feel like I'm not only helping a business, but giving back to our community as a whole, which is very important to me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, that's definitely a super altruistic take on the whole industry. How about you, DC?
Well, I didn't start out to go into banking. I was practicing law, and when I was in law school, I figured I'd get an MBA for an extra year. And when I was practicing law, I'd be working with clients in business and real estate. And I kept figuring out that I like being on their side better. It's more fun dealing on the business side. It's more fun trying to figure out how to build something, how to get something done, how to solve problems. And I always enjoyed helping our clients, build a business, grow their business, have ways to, provide something. When you see a building go from a piece of dirt and then it's, a nice building, it's exciting and it's fun. So, for me, it's just, I think it's similar to Kayla. I really enjoy helping and advising clients. And it is true, the interesting part of the real estate banking side, there's a lot of complexity to it. We deal with a lot of different things, not just the financial analysis part of looking at a borrower's credit and capacity. We look at the feasibility, of the project. Will it work? Can they build it for what it's, they say they can build it for? What's the market value? What's the acceptance? What's the zoning? So there's, it's a really exciting place. Especially we've hired some of the folks out of our banker training program, and they really love this area because there's so many different pieces to work on. So that's what I like. I like helping our clients, and I like some of the complexity and solving the problems and helping them build their business.
Thank you. Great input. Lonnie, if you have anything.
Yeah. So for me, I was in the community banking where it was in a branch, and everything was pretty transactional. When you're a teller, when you're a banker, you do loans smaller. But then as I got a little bit complacent in that role, and then transitioned over to the commercial side, and I was wowed. Like, I didn't realize how many moving parts there are. Treasury management. It's not just debt to income ratio. You get a loan or you don't get a loan. There's just so many complexities to it that you just are wowed, and there's just more to learn. Like, you can never actually learn it all. You may be able to, but I mean, the thing's ever changing, and just understanding the commercial side is just so much more fun. And it's intriguing to see the community grow too. Just like Kayla and DC said, when you see something from dirt go up, or if you see a business you lend it to and you see their truck on the road, you're like, yeah, I helped them grow, and I was able to see them, become successful within our community.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so moving on to our second one. What a lot of people kind of want to know is how much training did you need to get to the position where you are at right now? Obviously you're all at different stages in your career, so that's going to be pretty interesting to hear how that varies.
I don't think there's ever enough training. I am continuously training. And, to Lonnie's point, I mean, you can never fully know the full scope of finance and banking because there are so many different aspects to it. So every time I get to a point where I think I'm a pro and I'm just like on top of the world, and then someone says, oh, by the way, we have a client that wants XYZ, and I'm like, come again? What? So there's always an opportunity for growth and learning nonstop. For an example, I mean, I've had a couple of years in underwriting experience. And so, underwriting loans for larger businesses, I've got my feet wet. But just the other day, I was talking with our team here at Idaho Trust, and I told them I would really like to sit down and just learn from their credit team here, because credit culture is different here than it was at Wells Fargo, right? And so I'm sitting here thinking I know a whole bunch. Well, it's different, different risk mitigants, different things that banks look at based on size, based on capacity. So I said, train me, please, God, train me so that I can fully understand what I'm doing and how to bring a request to you. So yeah, there's always room for training and growth, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's, training's great. But in my career, I've just kind of fallen into opportunities, or they just came about and you recognize and go, I should try that. And you just jump in and do on the job, training. And, I got into finance after 9/11, and got a call from a friend, and when the economy had really taken a big hit, and there was concerns about, a lot of commercial properties and portfolio management. Got a call, and I was practicing law, and they said, hey, you do real estate law, you understand finance, would you like a job? And I said, yeah, never done that before. And they said, that's okay, come over and try. So it worked out, and it is stressful when you jump in there and try to figure it out. But I think that's if I would give anybody advice, it's don't be afraid just to jump in and try. Raise your hand, get out there and say, yep, I don't know exactly how to do it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do it. So, get out there, try it, take as much training that your company provides you. And I've been fortunate to be at institutions that do allow you to do that, to find the training and look at, your next job 2 years out. Say, what do you want to do? So take advantage of those opportunities when you can get that kind of training.
And then for me, I mean, for training wise, geez, you really can't. I mean, you can read a book and learn it, but I mean, the deals are just so much different. And being able to do it is just really jumping into, like DC said, and then also don't be scared of it. And for me, I know people don't like to use this, but you can always Google something. So, and that's what I do in case I have a question or I just can't solve it. I'll look to the internet and find something like that. But a lot of it is from, just trial and error, and making mistakes and correcting those.
Yeah, so actually one quick follow-up question on that. So you guys kind of laid out that you can basically just start preparing the next section of your career basically 2 years in advance through whatever training programs your institution offers. So, I mean, how readily available is that kind of stuff?
The places I've been, GE Capital was really good about that. They would say, what do you want to do? Make sure it applies to what you're doing now, but also where you want to go in the future. So the thing is, you own your career. So you need to start looking around and ask questions and say, hey, what's available? What do I think I want to try? Talk to folks within your organization, your manager, and say what's out there. Zions Bank's been very good about that as well. Banks are traditionally pretty good at training because there's a lot of regulatory requirements and skills you need to have. So those are usually out there. It's just asking them and finding out what's there and taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
DC's absolutely right. I think, again, you own your career. So, I mean, there can be all the resources in the world, but nobody is going to hold your hand and tell you, hey, take this next class. Hey, look at this. Hey, do that. You have to be able to source that for yourself. And I think for my career, going from being a part-time teller and thinking, I don't know anything about banking, I just want to get a paycheck, to realizing I actually really enjoy finance and becoming a relationship manager. Wells Fargo provided a lot of that for me, but a majority of it was me saying, hey, I want to learn more about that. Or, hey, I want to follow this person and mentor them, and just growing from there. I mean, that's really where you're going to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, guys, thank you, of course, for demystifying that whole thing. And one last question on the topic. So, all of us, we're in college right now. I mean, not you guys, but everybody listening to this, me included. And the thing that a lot of people are curious about is, how much do you actually use your academic credentials in your day-to-day career? How does that translate? I imagine it's more so at first than maybe down the line, but if we could just hear something on that.
I'll tell you every day. I mean, my MBA classes and law school documentation, reading, writing, just financial analysis. Every day I think about that. When we work in some complex areas and have loan documents that are 100 pages and participations and syndications and things, you use those skill sets. And, I just, when people say, I don't use those things, I do very often. And I say, pay attention in your classes, get good at working with the finance and the spreadsheets and reading and communicating, and being able to write well is pretty important today, especially
Yeah.
in banking and finance. You got to be able to communicate it well.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely underlooked, the communication, especially the writing aspect of it.
For me, I would say accounting classes. So like maybe your 200 level classes, like the 201, 202, those classes help me out a lot. Just the fundamentals of how balance sheets works, income statements. Because when you get to the underwriting section of it, I mean, that's all it is. You're basically looking at someone's financial statements, spreading them into a different software, and then analyzing it. So I feel like it's really crucial to have a good understanding of the financial statements and being able to identify what's on them, and also the ratios, current ratio, like all those debt service coverage, those things are really good to know.
Yeah, thank you.
You need to answer.
Oh, I don't know I saw that your mic was off, so.
Oh, I'm not very good at hitting mute and unmute sometimes. So I just figured it's probably safer to be unmuted because it's pretty quiet in here.
Okay. Well, no, that's fine. I mean, you don't need to have an answer for all of them. We can move on to the next. So, next one, do you feel, and I know most of you have been to, different banks, some more than others. So do you feel it's better to move around in the industry, maybe even just in the community, just all different banks, or just stick and climb that corporate ladder in one bank in particular?
I think there's benefits and maybe downfalls to both. It really depends on who you're with and if you really believe in their mission. I was with Wells Fargo for a long time, and I honestly thought that I would retire from there. But sometimes, as you grow in your career and you're realizing what your mission is, sometimes it kind of takes you down a different path. And for me, that path was small business. And Wells Fargo was really great. I truly appreciate Wells Fargo in the way that they handle their clients and their employees. But Idaho Trust is a very local bank. And I wanted to stay with our small businesses that I could help from the ground up. And that was really important to me. That's my passion. So I was provided an opportunity to come over here and do that. And so I followed that. But the value that I found at Wells Fargo is that they have so much money and time to put into training. And they're very big on promoting and helping you grow. So I was able to utilize those tools and resources that they had to climb that ladder. But it almost felt effortless only because I was constantly taking the knowledge that they had available, utilizing that, learning and growing. So I am very appreciative of Wells for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then I can go. For me, there isn't really a right way to go with it. I was with Wells Fargo for about seven years, and it just kept, I kept wanting to learn more and learn more. So yeah, I did grow that ladder. But like Kayla said, there's just so much training that Wells Fargo would offer for me. And to take time to learn, and they were really big on development plans. So I liked who I was working with too, and I think that's huge. There's so many banks out there, but you want to look at the culture too, and you want to see where you fit yourself within that bank. And so I guess from that point on, I just thought that I was going to keep growing with Wells Fargo, and then this opportunity came where I would be able to get more underwriting and credit analyst experience. So yeah, I did switch. And I don't know if it was the right reason to switch or if it was a good reason to switch, but I mean, I like where I'm at now, and I'm learning so much. And being in a community bank is just so much different than Wells Fargo. Just the way that they handle things, that it's just you learn so much from it.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I've been fortunate to be with a couple of large organizations. GE Capital was great because you did have opportunities, frankly, internationally if you wanted it. So you could look around and do different jobs. And I had 4 different roles over there in my career, 12 years over there. So that was a great benefit. And Zions is very similar. Zions has 7 different banks, in 11 states in the West here under different brands. So you can look around and find other opportunities and say, hey, I want to live there, or I want to try that job. So that's a great advantage. I think for somebody new to the industry, it's just find your first job. Find the one that you like, and do the best you can. Work hard, learn it, and then look around. If there's something in that institution, great. Take the next step. If there's not, then you look around and see what's out there for you. What's going to fit you in your next step of your career growth. So I don't know if there's an answer, small versus large. I just think it depends upon the opportunities in front of you.
I will
Thank
say
you.
really quick that if you are jumping bank to bank, I mean, that is a stigma with bankers, right? I mean, a lot of times, and I hear it often, oh, I don't know, you bankers, you move a lot, and so I do think that that also can be a pitfall. I mean, yeah, you want to find a place that's right for you. And sometimes that takes a couple of different locations before you figure that out. But just be aware, of how often you're doing it and the impact you're having, because that carries with you. When you bring a client over to a bank and you're helping them and then you leave, sometimes they'll follow you. But if you leave multiple times, that's expensive and it's time consuming, and eventually that follows your name. So it's just a thought.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and of course, there's no definite answer that's for everyone else to derive for themselves, but and this is the kind of information that helps them derive that. But yeah, so on to the 4th official question. So, or I guess that's the 5th actually. But did you guys have any pivotal moments that changed or advanced your career that you can really pinpoint? Just share that with people so they know what kind of things to expect.
For me, it was working as a business associate. That's essentially customer service. So I would, once a banker would bring a client into the bank business, I would essentially be there to help make sure that everything's going okay with them. And at one point, we had a banker who quit, and we couldn't find someone to replace him right away. So I became more or less a relationship manager without being the banker. So I supported that portfolio for 9 months. And during that time is when I started my exposure to credit. I was out meeting with clients, I was closing loans, and I was learning a lot. And I think that was my pivotal moment where I realized I wanted to be a banker. And not just a banker, but I wanted to fully understand credit. I wanted to learn the industries and be a true advisor for my clients. And so I marched into the office of one of our senior bankers and I sat down and said, "Congratulations, it's your lucky day. You are my mentor." Yes. And he was like, "What?" So, but he did, he was great. And from that moment on, I mean, I took everything that I could, anything they threw at me, I took it to learn. And because I was able to understand credit, because I continuously was learning, I was promoted to an underwriter. And from there was an underwriter for a couple of years, and then they had a position open up as a banker, and I earned it. I say earned it because there were a lot of applicants, and I truly thought I wasn't going to get the position, but I had worked very hard and I earned it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So for me, I think the biggest pivotal moment was when I was working in a branch, and I met one of the relationship managers with Wells Fargo, and I got to do kind of like, I'd say a ride along, where I got to like see what they do for the day, and I was just wowed at the stuff that they do, and the customers that they get to talk to and what they get to do. It's not just you're siloed in a branch helping customers, where you actually get to go out, see what the community is doing, talk to them, build that relationship, and then also like handle their problems, which are totally different than what happens in a branch. And I was just like, wow, I want to get into there. And so that's what my pivotal moment was, to move to the commercial side of Wells.
Yeah, no, that's good input. Thank you.
I think I shared you with it first in 2001 when I got the call from a friend of mine and said, "Hey, G's looking for somebody." And that was a big change, going from practicing law to going into finance. And then in 2008, during the financial crisis, a similar kind of thing happened. I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, worked for GE, and thought about, I think I want to go someplace else. And Utah looked pretty good. And there weren't any really jobs up there that I could do. And then the financial crisis came around, and GE became regulated by the Federal Reserve Bank, and they needed folks up there in internal audit. I'd never been an internal auditor, but I was familiar with portfolio management and real estate and some of the other regulatory items based on my legal background. I applied for the job and got it, surprisingly. And I asked them, I said, "Why'd you hire me? I don't know how to do internal audit." And they said, "Well, we can teach you that. We can't teach you the other skills that we need here." So it was just a great opportunity. You think, "Oh, I'm not qualified for that." Put your resume in, interview for it. You just never know where it's going to take you. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So since we do have some more time, Kayla, you touched on this with, your mentor comment. And a lot of people really stress having a mentor. Some people say you don't need it. What's your guys' opinion on that? And how do you even go about like getting a mentor? Because I know that's another thing that's kind of mystified when you're, about to graduate and you've never had a mentor, and it's not like you can even apply for it or anything like that. Oh, you're on mute, by the way.
I told you. See,
I know, you should have kept it.
One benefit to having a mentor, outside of the fact that they're showing you the ropes, is that is also a foot in the door. So if you are someone who is dedicated and you're working hard and you're really engaged with your mentor, then when the time comes to where maybe a position is opening up, that person is going to be an advocate for you. And that's really important. I think a lot of times just having a solid resume is just not enough. There really is a lot to be said about knowing people in the industry and having those foot in the door connections. So if you're looking for a mentor, if you know someone in the industry that you're going into, start there. It may not be that person, but they may be able to connect you with someone, because the more connections you can grow and show that you're invested, the better chances the better chances you have of your resume being at the top of the list for interviews. And I found that very valuable as I was working through my career as well. And I mean, having a mentor too is great because they show you what they do. They give you some skills of the trade. I highly recommend it. I do.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't agree more. Having an internal network is really critical to the success, in my opinion, of your career. And a mentor is important. And how you find them is you reach out and ask people. You look at people, say that, someone in management and say, I'd like to go that direction. And you call them up and say, can you help me? And
say,
most
congratulations,
people,
lucky day, you're my mentor.
Most want to help you, but building an internal network of your coworkers and different levels in your organization and people that you can reach out to, because Kayla's exactly right. When it comes time, a role opens up and you want to move into that, they're going to ask people around you and say, well, what do you think? And you want to have those people that know you and can advocate for you. So I strongly suggest building your internal network wherever you are.
Yeah, thank you for the input, DC. Lonnie, if you got anything on that too.
Mine's pretty much the same as Kayla and DC's. And I would say as well as, LinkedIn is huge too, if you like, and that's where I, where I was able to actually reach out to some people like we're at Northwest Bank, and, it's huge to have a connection there, look up the human resource recruiters and, just ask them, what they're looking for, even if, they could help you provide some insight on what that role is. I feel like that's been crucial for me too. For the mentor piece as well, go out there and ask somebody, like if you have friends or family who's in banking, just ask them. I know right out of college, it's difficult to find those, maybe manager connections at the bank, or even if you do bank, you're talking to one of, like where you bank at, you're talking to one of the bankers, ask them, that's a really good foot in the door just to see, that's what I did when I went to Wells Fargo was, I asked one of the bankers when I was opening up an account, I was like, what do I have to do to work here? And they kind of showed me what I had to do. And, I just kind of went with the flow and did it. So I think that's crucial, and don't be scared either. Some people feel like maybe the bank is scary and it's, it's hard to get in. It's very niche, it's not really, you can just talk to people and create rapport with them and, ask them to be your mentor.
Yeah, thanks for the input, guys. Really appreciate that. So one final question. Maybe we can wrap this section up a little bit early. We'll leave this as the last one. So for everybody here's, investment banking, super competitive, in that industry, deal sourcing. Everyone's competing for the same deals, but you guys are obviously in commercial banking, so totally different. So what is the banking climate like here in Idaho? Is it super competitive? You guys competing for resources, or, in that case, it would be clients, or is it pretty friendly? Like if you guys were to be, competing on a deal or something, or even if there is competition in the banking climate here between the banks?
I can tell you, Boise, Idaho is extremely well banked. That means there's a lot of banks here. A lot of banks want to be here. Deals are very competitive. So it is a very competitive marketplace. And pricing is the good thing. You get pretty good pricing because it's a lot of competition out there. The good thing is, the banks here are for the most part, pretty good. And I enjoy, talking with colleagues and seeing what they're doing. And we see their deals, they see ours. But it is a very competitive marketplace, very desirable. New banks are moving in here, other banks are trying to acquire. So it's just going to become more competitive as this marketplace, as Boise looks like as it is a great place to live, and a lot of people want to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It is very competitive. I think that working in a community bank, though, there's a little bit of advantage in the communication between the banks. I know for myself personally, I have a pretty good network of bankers from different banks, and typically, as we're going through and we're being shopped by a bank, by a client, and they're saying, "Well, this bank has this rate." A lot of times, I have good enough connections I can communicate with that other bank or whatever, and quite frankly, I don't feel rushed or pressured to be the best. If I will give my absolute best to a client every single time, but if there's a better offer out there at another bank and it just really makes sense for that client, I'm going to be transparent.
Sure.
Yes, this bank it sounds like they're going to take care of you. This is the best I can offer you. If it's not what you're looking for, that's okay. By doing that, there is a strategy. I mean, when you are transparent and honest and say, look, that other bank is offering you a better deal, you should really take it. I would. That builds rapport and that leads to referrals. And so I have actually received business from people who didn't go with my bank, but knew other businesses that were interested, referred them to me because I was honest and open, and it worked out. So I think that there's still an advantage to working hand in hand with some of these banks. I do refer out business if it's something we can't do. I know that other banks have appetites for certain deals, and I'll send that off. And again, because I've sent it off and that person was taken care of, they're referring their friends to me still. So there is some give or take to that. Yeah, I don't want to ever refer out business, but by doing the right thing for the client, I'm still gaining business in the end.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for the insight, guys. Really, I mean, that was the last question that I had in my lineup. So if we have anything in the chat, we can open that up. Or if not, we can do breakout rooms. But here we have something in the chat. Let me read this real quick. Yeah, okay, this is important. So Monique asked, so how important is it belonging to a professional organization such as, RMA in this case in your early career? And I know there's so many more. And as you go up the ladder, you get exposed to different kind of stuff. But yeah, so how important is that? And any specific organizations that you may recommend?
Sure. Excuse me. Networking and belonging to organizations is a valuable resource for building your connections in the community and also getting your name out there with your bank. It also broadens your skills overall. There's a lot to be said about learning and attaining skills outside of your bank. And so belonging to a board or belonging to a group like this one is very valuable for honing in other skills and for meeting other connections in the community. That's one thing I've learned over time is you never know when you're going to meet that one person that leads to a huge opportunity. You just never know. So putting yourself out there and networking is just a really great way to just open doors essentially for what you're trying to do. Plus, and this is me speaking personally, I am huge in giving back to the community. It's a passion of mine. And so I do belong to certain organizations that aren't even related to finance. However, it's great because Idaho Trust supports those organizations and they give back to the community. And it's also something that's valuable to me just on a personal level. So it fills my cup essentially within my career outside of the finance aspect.
Yeah, thank you, Kayla.
I don't think I could say it any better than she just did.
Can you try?
Oh, I think organizations like the ABA, American Bankers Associations, Idaho Bankers Associations, those things are helpful. RMA is helpful because you learn different skills and you get to see other professions. So I think any industry group that you're interested in, join it, be a part of it, because you will get opportunities and you will meet people as Kayla said, you just never know when that opportunity comes up. You meet somebody that says, hey, what have you thought about this? So
Yeah. So then, we have another question coming in. Actually, I'll go straight to that.
well, it's funny because I see that question. I was just out on my list, internship. That was something I was going to mention.
Yeah, here, well then I'll just read this off, then we can roll right into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, as an intern in commercial real estate for a large bank like Wells Fargo, are the daily tasks as an intern slash trainee similar to what you would do 20 years down the line?
Oh, heck no.
Okay.
Well, I think internships are just fabulous. And I think that's something, if you're interested in our industry, you try to find one, and you get involved. And most banks have them. Zion's banks, we have them. We've hired people out of those programs, and it's great, for the intern as well as for the bank, because we get to kind of try each other out and see, hey, is this something I like? Um, you know, is this where I want to be? Do I like the culture? Do I like the work? And what we really try to do, I know some places use interns as, on lower level tasks. What we try to do is we try to rotate them and give them opportunity to work on spreadsheets, to do analysis, to work on a market report, so they learn something about what we do, and it's a useful skill. And we want them to come out of our internship to have additional skills and some knowledge if in fact we decide to make an offer. So we expect and try to help them gain those initial skills that they'll need. And when I say 20 years from now, you'll have some skills, but banking changes, things change, markets change. So it's a continual education and learning in the banking industry.
Yeah, definitely. If you can land one of the coveted internships. But back to what we were talking about before with the professional organizations, here in college, obviously, if you just want to join FMA, you shoot me an email or you go on to Engage and you just sign up. So where would you even go about finding organizations like that when you're in the professional environment?
A lot of times you're either knowing someone who's in one, or you could put a Google search in, like Lonnie says, Google. There are so many different organizations here in the Valley. A couple of the big ones are like Young Professionals and BNI, Business Network International. That's one that I'm a part of. And it's great because you get to jump around and meet other professionals. And I was invited by a friend. So it's all about kind of building that network, and building a network isn't always easy. So you have to be willing to kind of put yourself out there and shake people's hands in a non-COVID world, and just really be willing to open yourself to opportunities. And eventually that really starts to snowball. I am happy to provide resources for anyone that's looking for an organization. They can shoot me an email or anything. I'm happy to kind of hand that out a little bit. So yeah, if anyone's interested, I'm certainly glad to do that.
Excellent. Thank you.
And then for me, I haven't been a part of too many organizations. There's two specifically that I've been part of: Boise Chamber of Commerce, which, I really like what they do and what they do in the community. And then also, I think Kayla had mentioned Boise Young Professionals. That's one that I've been part of for quite a time. Not as involved now just because of COVID and everything going on. But yeah, I would say those two are really great. But I really like Boise Young Professionals. There's some pretty neat people in there, and good way to connect, and just they have so many different programs within their organization that you just learn so much from different professionals within Idaho.
Yeah, I've definitely met a couple other people from professionals, and yeah, all good things to say about it. Yeah, so one more question in the chat. So any concerns about joining a smaller community bank post-graduation versus a bigger bank in terms of training and career mobility? I've even heard some people say it's better to start at a bigger bank because if you mess up, there's a lot more that can get eaten, on the cost side. But yeah, so just back to that question in particular, as far as training and career mobility, any input on that?
I think just to keep it short, you're going to get you're going to get out of it whatever you put in. It really doesn't. I mean, ultimately, you can have a company that spends millions and millions of dollars on training, and you may not end up retaining anything. It really is about you and what you're driven to do and the resources that you can hone, because again, nobody's going to hold your hand and provide you with those resources. So I feel as though I could get as much experience and training out of a community bank that I could out of a large bank if I'm willing to put in the effort and to make that worth the learning experience.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it would be a good question to ask in your interview. What are the training resources and expectations, in my first year? What does that look like? And I'll tell you.
That's right.
How about for the career mobility factor?
For me, I wouldn't say, well, I mean, it just depends on, how you interview. I mean, if someone said, if someone says on your resume, like, hey, I worked at Wells Fargo, or hey, I worked at JP Morgan, or hey, I worked at Northwest Bank, I wouldn't say it's going to deter your mobility one way or another. And if anything, with Northwest Bank, I've been exposed to different deals that I've never seen at Wells Fargo before. Just because they have different risk appetites, and it's just so interesting that that you get to see those. So I would say maybe even a smaller bank, you're going to be exposed to different industries that maybe a bigger bank won't even think about going into.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. So nothing else in the chat right now. So I suppose we can wrap up the panel discussion and move over to breakout rooms.
Hey,
Laura.
Hey, Brandon, I just want to add one
Yes.
thing that hadn't come up here for some of the students consider. Credit unions are actually, have a lot of opportunity here. I see they've changed. They can lend even in commercial areas now. So I wouldn't, think that credit unions aren't, a place to go. Although I, don't compete with them very often, but I think that's another the way that that product, that charter has changed. There are opportunities there, and there's a couple of here that are very strong in Idaho and well-renowned, do well. So it's just an area that some of the students might consider, looking at credit unions as well.
That's a very good point.
I've even heard restrictions loosening up on credit unions a little bit, and some moving not just from one localized area, even just like spending like interstate and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys have
Well,
heard that as well.
As a banker, we get frustrated with credit unions because they don't pay federal taxes, and so they can price lower, and they've expanded the areas that they can go into from where the original concept was. So again, we compete doing commercial real estate. That was not originally in their charter. So again, it's a little sore point for national banks. We'll compete, but it's a little bit of a challenge there. We do see that their areas are expanding, and we're saying that's great. Just go ahead and pay taxes like we do.
Yeah. Understood. Thank you. So Laura, would you be
that was from
opposed
the
to
ABA?
What was that?
That was my ABA pitch. Just kidding.
Oh, okay. So Laura, would you be opposed to opening up the breakout rooms right now?
Yeah, no, not at all. I'll open these up and then you can choose which room you'd like to go into. I think you also have the option to come back into the main room and go into another room. So we'll see what happens here, but I'll open up those rooms.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll run those for a little bit and then we'll just call everybody back for some closing remarks. So
Yep.
looks like they're open, so I guess I'll see you guys in a bit.
And Laura, we'll have to move panelists into their rooms, or they can self-select into their own room.
Okay, I think they self-selected.
Great.
Oh, DC's still here with us.
Yep. I'm not sure where I see that room.
So on the bottom panel, it says breakout rooms, and there's 4 blocks.
Okay.
We might be able to move you ourselves.
Yep. How about you do that, because I do not see it on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
Are you-
thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Awesome, thank you.
So real quick, said Michael asked me to review basically any of the underlying schedules for something that's tried out. Was that you again?
Okay, cool.
Still quite a few students in the
Yeah.
main.
Did DC go to his?
Yeah, looks like there's some
Yep.
check box.
Yeah, let's see. We have a couple of people that are saying in the chat that have requested. So I can move Aiden into the room with DC. And then there's a couple that are saying they're not sure how to jump into a room.
Okay,
Is that, am I just not understanding?
Or add none, rather.
yeah.
And it looks like Jordan just chatted. And yes, Jordan, you can select any room.
Cool.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Yeah. I see. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I guess I was just going to go these up, probably because it was so close. I'm guessing just like.
If folks are having a hard time figuring out if the jumping into a room is an option or selecting a room, you can chat us the room that you'd prefer, and we'll work on getting you assigned to that room.
Yeah, I've been just putting students into chat rooms or
Perfect.
breakout rooms as well. But if you have a preference, yeah, that's a great idea. Just chat it in.
In the screenshots or whatever, so I just kind of would wonder, like, hey, you don't have to do this now, I'm just trying to get some clarity on it, like, do we just remove this stuff, right? Like, I know this is kind of the form stuff, but if we just remove this line and say, read it on, then, you know, everything else will be valid.
Laura, so how long are you thinking about running those for?
I think we could probably do 15 minutes. I think we've had a really good conversation, and if the end's early, that's okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think.
I agree.
I also don't want to feel, I don't want to put too much pressure on the panelists to have to entertain for too long.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Like I said, I'm just trying to get an understanding, because I don't even review this file.
Oh, wait, did Dennis go into his own?
I just gave straight to the CNA tab.
Dennis shouldn't have one.
Oh, I thought you said that you were gonna do that.
No, I think he thought that, but I only had 3 rooms for one for each panelist.
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah, 'cause
thinking,
that took me off guard when he said that too.
okay. Yeah, I was thinking he could use this space if needed.
I suppose he could, yeah.
Yeah, but he probably jumped into a room, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of these students probably just put us on mute and walked away from their computers.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
It is. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You've got a lot of personality and character, and I think that that's a really important quality of being a moderator because it makes it more of a conversation, the way you respond to questions. So great job.
Yeah. No, I just wish that we could have had it in person because
Yeah.
I mean, the last time we did it, did we skip it a year? Because I think Ben was the last time, right?
Yeah, we did it last February, I believe. And then I think the year before that we did skip it.
Yeah.
Basically, fair value.
Oh yeah, that was a ton of fun, especially with all the food and everything. It was just a whole event.
Yeah, it'll be good to get back on campus and do some of our events because I think that that's something our department's like notable for is like being able to host these events where we invite employers and students and create a comfortable space where you can network and learn from each other.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll graduate this year though, right?
Yeah.
I know. I know that. And
Do you have
Yeah.
go ahead.
To answer that, kind of, yes. I still don't know exactly what I'm going to take yet, but
Good.
yeah. So Friday, before graduation, they're having all the 2020 people come, right?
Oh, yeah, I did read
Isn't
that.
that the deal? Okay. Then maybe you won't have Vince sign this, but I was gonna ask if you know, like, how many people they're actually expecting, because everybody that I know that graduated is like, I mean, I'm stuck in a different city right now. Like, I can't come back, so
Yeah, and that's what I'm guessing is I think that they put the offer out in case there are students or alumni at this point who are able to attend, giving them the opportunity. But yeah, I would say that they also assume that a lot of folks are not maybe in state right now.
yeah.
But I think it's a good option at least.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm glad they're doing it, but we'll see.
Is there any way I could get moved into a room with Mr. DC? I click join breakout room and it just allows me to join Lonnie's and I just talk to him for a little bit.
Yeah. Let me find your name in here. You were in Lonnie's? Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
I was in
Want to
Lonnie's.
go to DC?
Yeah, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do breakout rooms fill up?
Did you get a request, Cole?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Lonnie has about 7 in his. DC has 19 and Kayla has 20.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
I'm guessing a smaller group is easier.
Yeah, probably.
But no, that's great. We'll let them chat for another 10 minutes or so, and then we can. Also, I don't know about me, but Brandon, maybe if you want to like jump in to Lonnie's or any of the others and just kind of be a fly on the wall, see how things are going.
Yeah, I can do that.
And then you
Let
can
me
just, I think you should be able to pop back out.
Yeah. I'll
Just
do
maybe
this
just to
real
check in.
quick. Mhm. You want me to just see what's going on? Like, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just make sure everything's going smoothly. I don't think I can from my end because I'm managing this section.
Yeah, probably not. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, at this point, I guess that's what I'm having to do.
Well, thanks, Laura and Brandon, for getting everything set up. and I thought it went really well, and a lot of great insight.
Hey, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
Yeah. Thank you for all your help in getting the word out and encouraging your students to attend. We had a lot of students in attendance, so that's always great to see.
Yeah, no, that works.
Are you giving extra credit for it this year?
Right, I'm like literally coming in here.
A little bit, and I think they gave some in 420 as well.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna check on DC. Yeah, DC looks like he might be wrapping his up, so
Sorry, I'm on mute. Yeah, if you think that students have had enough time.
yeah, let me just.
Did you pop into any of the other rooms?
Yeah, I mean, Kayla's is going well. I imagine Lonnie's probably on the same page as DC.
Okay, well, why don't I message and say 5 minutes?
Or maybe you just want to wrap it at 10.
In what?
At 4:10. I mean 5:10. Sorry, I'm on California time right now.
Okay, I'll broadcast a message.
Hey Jared. I see your email. I'll join that right after this.
That sounds good.
Thanks.
And Jared, while we have you, my team can compile the final list of attendees and we can send it over to you. We use Google Sheets and then you can verify which students are yours and assign credit as needed. Does that work for you?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much for doing that.
Yep, no problem.
Hey, this is Professor Allen. Can I get a copy of that list as well?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Thank you very much. This is well done. I think this is really valuable for the students. So thank you for setting this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome and thanks for supporting it. That means a lot.
Yeah. Remind me. Yeah, I would write my go submit.
Okay, I'm gonna close the rooms and Brandon, I'm gonna let you wrap up the session.
Okay. You have nothing else you want to say to everyone?
Yeah, yeah, I do have something I'll say, so I'll take a minute to say something.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you go first.
Okay.
This is the longest countdown.
Fast 2 minutes.
Oh. Is that everyone, Laura? Oh, you're on mute, by the way.
Is Lonnie back?
Yes.
Okay, great.
There he is.
Panelists, I have a question for you and probably Dennis as well. Would you be willing to share your contact information with any of these students? And if so, can we either share your emails or do you want to put them in the chat? I'm sure there are some students who may want to connect with you beyond this event.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, whatever's easier for you in the chat.
Okay, great.
You can share my email and contact information if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. And in addition, to all attendees, we're happy to send out an email and that will include the attendees or panelists' contact information. Also, just a few other things before I hand it off to Brandon to wrap it up. We do have a feedback survey and that's in the chat box. So if you could take that, we'd really appreciate it. It's very brief. It just helps us improve our events. And secondly, we've talked a lot today about professional development, and remember that Kobe Career Services works one-on-one with students on resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, finding internships, finding jobs, all of those really important tools. And Monique has chatted a link in the chat box how to connect with us and make an appointment. So don't hesitate to reach out. We're more than happy to help you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brandon to wrap it up. And thank you, everyone.
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks everybody for attending, of course. I don't know, I thought this was great. I hope you thought it was great as well. So yeah, and of course, big thanks to Kayla, DC, Lonnie, Dennis, and Laura too. Obviously it wouldn't be possible without you guys. So really appreciate that. Not to plug my club, but if you guys want, join FMA, the Financial Management Association here at Boise State. You can find that on LinkedIn. Really, I mean, not LinkedIn, Engage, really easy. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you specifically again to the panelists. So yeah, we'll have this again next year.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I'll add one thing else for RMA, just as a local trade association, networking opportunities. If you're interested in upcoming events, we're only going to be doing one more here in person until we take our summer months off. But starting again in September, later on this year, we're going to start hopefully doing in-person meetings again. So shoot me an email if you want to be on that distribution list for those. And all of our events are free of charge for any BSU student. So let me know if you want to be included in those correspondence.
Sounds good.
Great.
Well,
thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome. Do you want any?